At Zora's command, Tarek Tora uses the last remnants of his strength to initiate a catastrophic self-destruction meant to obliterate all life in the surrounding forest. Ragnar rushes to intervene, but his body is already heavily damaged, and he's far too weak to stop it alone. Witnessing the unfolding disaster, Starlia, already heartbroken by the loss of so many of her troops, can't bear to lose anyone else. With desperation and determination, she channels a massive surge of her power to support Ragna. Sensing her presence, Ragna calls out for her to use her silver forging ability to enhance his silverine battle arts to their peak. Their combined might finally halts Tarek Tora's annihilation move, erasing him before he can detonate. However, the intense magic reveals to Starlia Ragna's hidden future self. She can see through the layers of his aura. She offers him a place at her side, suggesting he leave Crimson and join her. Ragna doesn't give a definite answer, but says he'll consider it. With the enemies defeated, the remaining thaumaturges collect enough dragon blood to activate a teleportation circle. A glowing light envelops everyone, signaling their departure to safety. But right before they can escape, Voltikemui makes a sudden, brutal return. He kills Starlia right in front of Ragna to establish dominance, then launches a vicious assault on him. Ragna, utterly drained, collapses. Just when all seems lost, Ragna awakens. Starlia stands before him in an entirely different realm. She explains that once the teleportation magic activated, she brought him to this tranquil space to speak privately. As they walk beneath a sky filled with stars, she asks for his opinion on her subordinates. Ragna praises each of them. Christopher is a born warrior, Isaac a brilliant tactician, Graham, though aged, continues to grow. Shin possesses extraordinary strength, Fu is a powerful half-dragon, and the twin sisters, Glee and Hasela, have impeccable perception. Starlia is pleasantly surprised by his insight and confesses that his strength has inspired her to finally forge the perfect sword she always dreamed of. As a silver comet streaks across the heavens, she vows to create a blade worthy of Ragna. But just as she speaks those words, the vision shatters, and Ragna finds himself in a field hospital amidst a destroyed city. Isaac guides him through the ruins and gives a report, but conspicuously avoids any mention of Starlia. Ragna, sensing she's still alive, is about to ask when a silver-haired woman appears. Instinctively, he attacks and vaporizes her, only to be confronted by more duplicates. Furious, he prepares to strike again until Isaac stops him and clarifies that she isn't Ultimecia. Despite the resemblance, the woman introduces herself as Carla, a dragon scourge of the Solarian faith. She invites Ragna to join them in Starlia's place, offering him the role of dragon scourge. He refuses, both because of the threat she makes to civilians and because he spots Chimera nearby, signaling him to follow. Meeting Chimera, Ragna is reunited with Crimson. She produces a key and takes him to the moon base for healing. Once recovered, Crimson outlines her plan. They will retreat for 3 years to train a special force under Ragna's leadership to eventually kill Ultimecia. But Ragna refuses. He insists Starlia is alive and needs saving. Crimson scoffs at his hope. She saw Starlia's death with her own eyes. But Ragna explains that he and Starlia connected during their fight, and he can still sense her aura. Crimson, surprisingly, grants his request to return to Earth. But just as he tries to leave, the poison he consumed as part of his pact with her activates and should kill him. It doesn't. Ragna casually shrugs off the poison's effects, confusing Crimson. Embarrassed and rattled, she lets him go. Ragna returns to Earth and rallies the remnants of Starlia's forces, commanding them to prepare for war against the winged bloodline and to rescue Starlia. Elsewhere, Starlia has barely survived thanks to Voltikemui, who stitched her head back together. He wants her to forge a weapon for Ragna, something that can counter his claws. Voltikemui hasn't felt this excited for a fight in ages. Once the battle is over, he plans to learn Ragna's secret, and perhaps challenge the gods themselves. In the capital city, Ultimecia still can't access her time magic. Despairing, she is shocked when Borgias appears, now fully revived, having absorbed the blood spilled during the recent massacre. After a brief conversation, Borgias visits Nebulum, who has discovered a temporal sanctuary built by Crimson when she was winged monarch. It exists outside normal time and space, and Nebulum's barrier magic flourishes there. Though Borgias now has a real body, he only has about a month to live. He entrusts Ultimecia to Nebulum's care. Back on the moon, Crimson regains her clarity. She realizes Ultimecia must truly be powerless, or she'd have acted already. Seeing an opportunity, she mobilizes her forces for war, intent on hunting down the winged monarch. Meanwhile, Starlia's followers begin their own preparations. Scouts sent to investigate the capital find that it no longer exists. In its place stands a colossal tree, feeding on the blood of the dead. Yet, they detect traces of Starlia's presence. She's alive. To mount a rescue, they activate a teleportation circle. Fearing Ultimecia's time manipulation, Carla sacrifices her vitality to protect them from it for 3 minutes. Afterward, she becomes a lifeless shell. The team vows to honor her sacrifice. Upon arrival, they're immediately attacked by a grief-stricken Zora, who is rampaging after Terectora's death. Borgias transforms into a wooden dragon to fend off Crimson's forces. Nebulum maintains a barrier to block the sun so their dragons can fight at full power. Voltikimui pulls Ragna aside and leads him to Starlia, who has exhausted herself crafting a blade just for him. Tragically, Zora poisons her to deny her a peaceful ending. After sharing a final sorrowful meeting with Ragna, Starlia dies, her body overtaken by venomous veins that were slowly consuming her from the inside. Ragna, overwhelmed with fury at the sight of her suffering, hands her over to Nazarena and vows to defeat Voltikami with the sword Starlia forged for him. Voltikami, thrilled by the challenge, unleashes his dragon form to fight Ragna at full power. Ragna doesn't hold back either, activating his Silverine battle techniques immediately, eager to end the battle swiftly. However, because they are so evenly matched in strength, the duel stretches far longer than expected, eventually taking them into Earth's atmosphere. As their titanic clash lights up the sky, Nazarena points toward them, describing the breathtaking sight to Starlia. Only to realize that Starlia has passed away in her arms, she quietly walks away, leaving her to rest in peace. Meanwhile, on the battlefield below, Starlia's legion initially overwhelmed Zora. But Zora, tapping into his final dragon form, demonstrates the vast gap between dragons and humans. He gruesomely tears Garm in two, and even skilled warriors like Christopher and Shin suffer devastating injuries. Shin ends up crippled, and most of their forces are wiped out. Only Isaac and a handful remain standing. Elsewhere, Crimson finally breaks through Nebulum's barrier. Nebulum, distracted while operating his barrier system, is consumed by slime. Just before dying, he manages to send a final warning to Ultimecia, pulling her out of her deep meditation. She barely dodges a deadly, specialized bullet. Crimson fires, one crafted solely to kill her. To regain her strength, Crimson reinserted her own heart, and the confrontation begins. Ultimecia transforms into her dragon form to defend herself, but struggles due to her clumsiness and inexperience. Crimson lands multiple injuries. Zora continues to enjoy his slaughter until he encounters Fube in his own dragon form. Though Fube is eventually stopped, he gives Zora a hard fight. As dawn nears, Shin refuses to let Zora's rampage go unchecked. With the last remnants of his strength, he lands a blow on Zora, inspiring the remaining soldiers to rise again for a final stand. Their united effort weakens Zora just as the sun rises, burning the dragon. Unfortunately, it's too late. Everyone from Starlia's legion has fallen, save for Isaac. He delivers the killing blow and reunites with Nazarena, who tearfully confirms Starlia's death. Only the two of them survive. Within a hidden dimension, Crimson begins mentally breaking down Ultimecia, reminding her of the grim origins at the Solarian base where she was just another expendable Carla unit. She recalls how the god at the base judged people by life value, saving only the worthy and letting the rest perish. She remembers witnessing older Carlos drained of vitality for healing others, and how these traumas shaped her fractured psyche. These memories destabilize Ultimecia, leaving her vulnerable. Crimson is about to finish her off when Borgias intervenes, taking the bullet meant for her. Verbigot, a powerful dragon once loyal to Crimson, emerges and destroys the entire barrier realm with dark magic. Borgias is mortally wounded and could have survived, but the sun rises, incinerating him. Both Ultimecia and Crimson crash into the rubble, heavily injured. Crimson, still conscious, calls out to her slime to retrieve someone. Only Hazela remains. Crimson manipulates her to assassinate Ultimecia. Above Earth, Ragna prepares his final dragon-slaying attack. But Volticami recalls a prophecy from the Clawed Monarch, who once praised his potential. With renewed purpose, he unleashes hidden power and stops Ragna's attack, countering with a strike that severs Ragna's head. But Ragna defies death. He reattaches his head in true unstoppable fashion, declaring he won't be defeated so easily. On the ground, Ultimecia crawls toward Volticami's fallen sword, recalling their past. She remembers how, long ago, he refused her healing despite needing it, not wanting to owe anyone. She healed him anyway, binding him to her fate. Now he repays that debt by preparing his ultimate strike. But Ragna's new attack is meant for monarchs. It's beyond anything Volticami can handle. Before he is destroyed, he shatters Ragna's sword to protect Ultimecia. Watching him fall, Ultimecia, driven by grief and desperation, manages to summon her time blade and wounds Ragna, stopping him. Relieved, she thanks the divine for giving her magic back and prepares to rewind time to save everyone. But Hazella, influenced by Crimson, shoots her. As Ultimecia burns and dies, she reflects on her time as a clone, her rebellion, and how she once saved Volticami, only for that to lead to her suffering. She had begged the dragon god for strength, which granted her the winged bloodline and her title as monarch. Now, abandoned and dying, she clings to life, crawling into the shadow cast by Volticami's sword, her only shelter left. Later, Ragna dreams of his future self, who asks if he regrets anything. Ragna says no, only sorrow for not being able to fight beside his comrades again. But he's grateful. They made his victory possible. Upon awakening, Crimson visits Ragna and takes him to a hidden location. There, to his shock, he finds Starlia alive. Zora, before dying, had purged the poison from her body as a reward for defeating him. Though